Welcome, welcome, welcome to the celebration of some amazing cosmic events that are happening. And no matter what time you are listening to this, you will get the energy of what's going on. So even if it's after the fact, we just want you to know that. I'm Kaylin Castell. I am the co-founder of Venus Alchemy, My Star Alchemy. I love alchemy, can you tell? And the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School. And I'm here with Jeffrey Gretner, who is...
Hello, everybody. So yes, I am, a good friend and colleague of Kaylin's, and I am also an astrologer and a working shaman, among other things. I work with Earth and Sky pretty extensively, and yeah, we just thought it would be fun to kind of engage in this conversation about so many energies converging right now in this week. We're just hours before the Libra new moon. And so like Kaylin said, it's both our intention and a truism that whenever you listen to this, whatever we are offering and opening your awareness to, the intentions will go with it. And if you get to hear this beforehand, awesome. And maybe we hope that what's going to happen is that it really sparks your imagination in bringing in somewhat different information, because lots of people are talking about the new moon and other stuff. So yeah, so with that, what I want to do is just, while we're going to have fun, we also want to make this a bit of ceremony. And as we said, we made an intention. So I'm burning some cleansing sage here, along with some sweetgrass. And we'll just take a moment to wherever you are, and if you need more time than we'll take right now, go ahead and do that to get grounded and centered and present, is what I like to say, so that you allow yourself, your energies to be grounded deeply into the earth. And then just ask for that earth energy to come rising up and filling your body and your aura, and allowing more of your own soul light to come down into your heart space, and opening yourself to the upper world of the cosmic energies. And then just send away any other energies that are not needed for you at this time, connection, so that you can stay focused. Recall your own energy from wherever it may otherwise be connected, so you can be fully present. And as we do that and acknowledge our place in the whole universe, whether you wish to connect to 4 directions, above, below, and center, or however you choose to do that. And there are phrases like namaste, or in the Dakota tradition, which I am adopted into now for 35 years, we say Matakioasan. We are related to everything. And we'll close with that, and we want to specifically call in, along with the energies of the planetary movements we're going to talk about. There's also, we wish to call in the medicine of Raven and ask it to be present with us. And we'll explain why later. But right now, we're just going to ask for the magic of Raven to enter into the space, as well as these stars and planets, which we'll get into. So, aho, Takiasan, namaste.
Aho. Beautiful.
Right.
Yay, what a great way to start this off, because wow, are we in an amazing, mind-blowing time. I just, when I feel into this and sort of sense into what this is all about, and just to remind everybody that a new moon is a seed point. And not only is it a new moon, but it's also a new Mars, because Mars is conjunct the sun, with the moon being conjunct the sun, all very close to a star that is in the Raven. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And so we're planting the seeds of something new, and especially in the arena, because this is happening in Libra, in the arena of conscious, co-creative, collaborative relationships that are honored as equal. So no one is more or less important than anyone else, that we what we have to bring, whatever you might have to bring, whatever I might have to bring, whatever anybody may have to bring, is equally valid and important and recognized and has a place at the table. And that's something that we've been missing in our greater culture. So we're just planting the seeds for that. And, really ultimately, um, these are the seeds we want to continue to tend to long past this new moon. The other thing that's happening with the new moon is Pluto stationing direct. And it's connected to some stars that have to do with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So it's really bringing in this, it's in square to them, like an exact precise square to them. So there's that sacred union between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and healing whatever the challenges have been. And so what is it we still have to heal within ourselves, and what is it we still have to heal in our greater collective? And that's a part of also the seeding that's happening as we speak. So what more do you
I,
want to say about that, Jeffrey?
well, so that's the intensity of the moment, and the opportunity of the moment is that, how does the masculine show up in those conscious co-equal relationships, and the transformation of even that notion, because Libra has always represented that, but oftentimes in the past, in roles, one would carry something and the other would carry the other. And then when it got codified into society, it became, very specific things. And we're all going through this transformative process to be able to be more individually free within that construct, so that we're not held in those roles, can go beyond them, can find equality and balance in other ways, in being who we are. But the other thing about this coming week, can I go into that just a little bit?
Yeah, but let me just first say that with Pluto and what's going on with Pluto and how it's showing up in this new moon time, it is about dying to those old constructs that do not serve any longer, that have been limiting, have been, maybe they had a purpose, don't really know what, but maybe they had a purpose. And so and in that death process is not always easy, and sometimes we have to look at our own shadow and our own fear and our own challenges in regard to that. So so just know that that's also part of the process.
Yeah, and that's said multiple times. This is often the case when the stars and the planets are way showing for us, like here's where the energy is, and here's the synchronicities through which we are activating. And when we engage with intention, then we can really go through the processes of, in a forward-looking way, as opposed to just having it happen, because it's going to happen, right? We want to be conscious. We want to be moving into it consciously. And so, so this transformative thing is happening. And but why it's even more potent right now and during this time of this coming week is because Mercury is right there with it too. He's backing up like Heyoka, like a contrary. He's backing up into those degrees, but he's still there, and he's kind of in his trickster mode. He's also in that underworld mode, and within a few days is going to be tightly conjunct the sun also. And as Kaylin being more the expert in this, but I studied all these cycles too, but it is those things that we're discussing are happening in these days. And Venus comes into the picture because on Saturday the moon will have moved from, still, I don't know, still more or less in new phase, but it comes into conjunction and alignment with Venus, which, as again, Kaylin's been doing this, but it's like the opening of reimagining what do we want to envision, and just to keep it kind of simple. So the sacred feminine is allowing a process of re-envisioning. These other planetary energies are symbolizing this process of going through transformation. For those who are familiar with some of the indigenous ceremonies, Mars with the sun is like Sundance. Mars is going through, the sacred masculine is going through the shamanic death and rebirth. In some respects, there's different kinds of nuances and things to what Mercury is represented, but it is a reset of the mind in a way, revisiting and then a reset of the mind. And so we kind of have all that going on. It's awesome. It's almost hard to contain it all in your mind. So part of it is to maybe be aware. We're going to share a story in a minute, and know that whatever you do, if you're feeling into it, and allowing it, to happen in the best way. Certainly we set intentions, but there's also these processes, because it's in underworld, so to speak. We don't know what the activity is all the time. We don't always know it consciously. Anyway, that's maybe a lot, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I just want to add that this is really about our vision, right? So if we think about Venus and where she's at with a star that has to do with the third eye of the scorpion, right? And so the
Right.
Venus moon conjunction happening there at the brow chakra gate, having to do with vision, and all of the things that are happening at this new moon and so on. It's all about what are we visioning? How are we visioning this new world, this new way of being in relationship to one another, between the masculine and feminine, and all life between earth and people, and everything. So we haven't really had a quality of relationship. It's been more of a dominator paradigm that's been
Yeah.
in place. And so it's up to us to really call forth a new way of doing it, and be willing to take the steps that will help us to create a more co-creative, collaborative, equal way of being in relationship with each other. So it's so exciting.
Yeah, with each other in all life, as we said. It's this, because it's all of that is really up. So there's, as we said, there's the new moon with Mars are happening and kind of exactly aligned with a particular star. And again, for those who don't know, but Kaylin is teaching a class with another one of our friends and colleagues, Eric Roth, on the Behenian stars. The ancients saw these stars as, they used them in alchemy, a certain set of stars, and they're not always the usual suspects. Some of them are. They're the big bright ones that we all tend to know, but this one is more obscure in a way, more mysterious, because the knowledge that has survived about it is almost as if we have an opportunity to meditate into, what is this really suggesting to us? What is the energy of this star? Because the story I'm about to share is a story from a Greek myth, but there are others. And it's knowing how we can sorry, give me a minute. Let me just go into the story. Like I said, let's just go into the story and see what happens. So one of the things, as we mentioned, this particular star, Algorab, is the right wing of the raven, as the Greeks saw it. And one of the stories that goes along with that particular Corvus, or the raven constellation, not maybe so much specifically about the star, but the star carries some of this energy, is that there was Apollo, i.e. the sun, was preparing a celebration for Zeus, i.e. Jupiter, So Apollo was preparing a celebration for Zeus, and he sent his bird, the raven, off to get some water for that celebration. Well, Raven took off, he flew off, and he saw a fig tree. And so he landed there in the fig tree, noticed that the figs aren't quite ripe yet. So he thought, well, he'll just hang around until the figs are ripe, and then he'll have a little feast. Well, he hung around long enough that he eventually got his figs, but he's like, oh, shoot, or choose your expletive. I forgot, I was supposed to get this water. Oh, gee, he's going to be so mad. What am I going to do? And so he sees a snake down below him, and he quick goes down and grabs the snake, and he said, oh, gee, I had to fight this snake to get to, get my cup to the water and so on. He comes back, says this to Apollo. Immediately Apollo sees through his BS, and he says, he says, oh, that's nonsense. You didn't carry out your responsibility, and then he casts them all into the sky as a reminder. So in the sky, I mean, this story could simply be here's how you find these constellations in the sky. That may be true, because here you got Corvus, next to it you got Crater, which represents the cup, and beneath that is Hydra, which represents the snake. On the other hand, what we like to say in mythology, if a story survives thousands of years, often there's some correlate rather in the collective unconscious of the psyche, the human psyche. So there's something in that story. And one of the things that is suggested that does go along with the star, but certainly with the story, is that it can sometimes carry the energy of when an excuse is more appealing than the truth. So what is it there that we have an opportunity to maybe transform when an excuse is more appealing than the truth? I won't even say any more about that, but the piece that comes to me is that there are other stories about Raven, because it's also known as a magical bird, as a familiar to other beings, gods and goddesses. And when we bring it more into Turtle Island and stories here, Raven is first of all of the medicine animals are independent and of themselves. They choose to work with, the shaman and the people. I thought I'd just throw that in, but here it's, and in these other stories is this opportunity of magic, of using the cleverness for some kind of a transformation. And it provides, one of the aspects of that medicine is to provide the opportunity to look into the dark corners and to see them in a new light. And what medicine might we get from that? And so it suggests, if we're looking into the dark corners of maybe how we use or engage with the masculine energy or the feminine, whichever, wherever your mind, wherever these energies choose to take you. If you're looking into the dark corners, look for the medicine there instead of turning away from it. So I think, to a large extent, these are some of the things that are really being activated at this time. And and so when at here from the upper Midwest, I'm calling in from Minnesota, and we are it'll be right around just before sunrise. So all day tomorrow, but especially at sunrise, the moon is going to be with the sun and Mars. Mercury is not far away. He's retrograding back into some of those same degrees. So whenever you're looking at the sun, you're also feeling into the lunar vibrations and the masculine vibrations, and where that mind, aspect of the messenger, the sacred messenger that Mercury is bringing into our awareness in this Heyoka way, in the trickster way. So so go ahead, Kaylin.
I know, this is so good. So Raven, of course, can be a messenger as well. or as any of the bird tribes, right? Any of the birds of the bird tribe, they're often messengers. And as you were saying, Jeffrey, connected to magic and synchronicity and alchemy, and the star Algorab, the right wing of the raven, is one of the magical stars of the ancient alchemists. And so they did specific ceremonies and intentions, created talismans and sigils and altars to alter their awareness or whatever it was, when there were planets with those particular stars, with these magical stars. And of course, Algorab's got not only the sun and the moon and Mars within minutes of being exactly aligned with Algorab, but Mercury is within, about 6 degrees of being, maybe 4 degrees, I think, of being exactly aligned. It's close, and it will be really exactly aligned within a few days. And so, so the power of this star is magnified hugely at this new moon time. And again, whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't matter if it's like, October 6th, the new moon, whatever, and all that's going on. You can tune into this energy because it's here, and you can create your intentions to work the magic in your own life at any time you happen to hear this. And so, and the other thing is, because magic is alchemy, right? And there's a story about the white raven. There's a book that was written by Diana Paxton called The White Raven. And then there's white ravens that have been sighted and in Canada, actually. And I'll put a link to the video of them telling the story about this white raven they found in Canada a few years ago. And they took a lot of pictures of, and people were really excited about it. And some were saying that the white raven is thought to be a symbol of destroying the world. It's like, oh, now the world's going to be destroyed.
Oh,
And in some ways, the world will be destroyed because you have to destroy the old to have the new come in. And that's part of the transformational process, right? The alchemy that takes place. Something's shifting to something else. But one of the things that this photographer was talking about was the Native American perspective of the white raven returning the light to the sun and the moon and the stars, and bringing greater light back into the world. So there's that also going on. And so we just
wow.
want to tune into that and bring that into our intention as well. Like, okay, so how am I tapping into this greater light that's being returned to the world with the sun and the moon, literally with this with this constellation? And Corvus is right next to the Virgin Priestess constellation, also known as Virgo, but that gets people confused because this is all happening in Libra. So the seasonal sign of Libra. So we look at it as the priestess constellation, and the ravens were the familiars or the power animals that the priestesses worked with. So this has got just so much magic and so many different layers of magic that it doesn't matter if you completely understand everything we've said. Just tune in and get what is coming through for you, and just trust your knowing and trust your guidance and trust the process for you, and align with the energy and the way that's going to work for you. So that's all I have to say.
Absolutely. And I think one of the pieces, I think it probably works all the time, but it's particularly working now. In fact, us putting this thing together worked in a way of, because it's Mars, it's like, well, what are you going to act on? But it's also, well, what are you being presented with? To be open, don't effort at all. But you do need to, whatever you feel or whatever comes in, there's that receptive piece. And then how you act on it. And sometimes even small things, I mean, can be part of not just your own personal transformation, but if it's done with prayer and intention, with energy, you can allow it to be magnified. If you go out and, I use the example of, returning carbon into the ground as opposed to burning it. I mean, literally, like taking wood chips and putting them into the ground so they're rots. Well, that's a small act that's supporting the soil, and maybe not not even notice in terms of a carbon cycle. But on the other hand, if you're doing that with intention and you're feeding nature in that way and your own vibration, then it's a powerful thing and it can be amplified because of things that we're talking about. It can be amplified and stuff we're not even talking about because, we don't want our heads to explode.
Right.
And hopefully they're not already for those of you tuning in. Yeah, can you tell we're excited about this?
It's so exciting. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we hope that you will feel inspired, and it doesn't have to be big. It can be small. It can just be that you go outside and you look at the sun and you say, "Hey, I'm receiving the light of all this powerful energy that's coming my way via the sun." Could be as simple as that, and you can make it more in depth and complicated. Not complicated, probably the right word, but in terms of how you want to work with that. So keep it simple, unless you want to do something more elaborate, and just trust that when you do that, the magic is going to work through you, because that's why we're here, to work the magic and create the new world. Aho.
I do, and I want to add just one piece because it's a really good place to give it over to folks. But if you try to go read about algorithm, it's really mostly what has survived is some of these negative things, which is why we sort of emphasize we don't really know how to use it magically. Some of that information about how the alchemists used it didn't survive. So we're all writing the new story. And this is what we're emphasizing is what can we envision and imagine into a new story, and we're allowing some of these old energies to go through this conscious death and reemerge. So we don't know what it all is, but if you're tuning into it and if you're thinking of Raven and you're thinking of okay, Star, what are you bringing? What kind of energy are you bringing in here? I mean, it's an interesting exercise to just learn yourself rather than reading about. It's okay to read about it, but also let yourself learn and take in what's coming through, whatever's coming through for you. That's all part of the story. So
I love that. It's getting your own direct transmission. So we hope that if you get something that you want to share with us, we will love that.
we
And hope that
absolutely
you
will.
have a fabulous experience with this amazing magical time.